Simulator is like a virtual model of the real car, and it's where, as a test driver, we use, and also the race drivers use to prepare ahead of race weekends and to develop the car and try new parts through the season, work on setups ahead of each Grand Prix. It's really a virtual experience of driving the real car from here in the factory. A good sim driver needs to be fast. You need to be as quick as the race drivers, and also to find the limit of the car, to push the car to its maximum potential. But I think probably the most crucial things are being consistent. It's really important that you are able to do consistent laps, consistent runs, to be able to analyse any setup changes or any developments of the car, to be able to have a good feeling of the car, and to be able to give clear, concise feedback on any changes and the setup improvements.
In this environment you can test anything you can think of, between different car model changes, different track layouts, or even weather conditions. By doing so, then you already know how these changes would affect in the real life. So then race engineers use our feedback from the simulator and their own conclusions to derive decisions and make their own changes at the track.
Typical Friday of a race weekend involves us really following the sessions at track, listening to what the drivers have to say after the sessions and through the sessions about the car balance and the issues they're really having.
I'm on a flat spot in the tyres.
It looks okay. Please keep going if you can.
I need to try down to front wing.
Understood.
Simulator is really important for us because we don't get to do all the tests we want to do in 2 short sessions on Friday. And now that the sessions are reduced to only 1 hour, it's even less than we used to. So we can use the simulator to test all the things that we didn't get to test at the track and see what potential there is to change the car performance for the next day.
It's our responsibility as race engineers to feed back the right information to the simulator. Our responsibility is to say, well, look, these are my top 3 big problems. This is what I'm trying to fix. I'm thinking about these 3 setup options. Can you help me and give me some guidance as to which of these is working best in the simulator? And maybe I'll use one of those or 2 of those to try and adapt my setup here.
Can you work out for me if we run the same downforce package as winter testing with the same power output and the same wind, just the conditions of today, what the difference in end of straight speed should be?
It's kind of this 2-way relationship, which is the more that we give back to the simulator, the better they're able to produce good data and good results to feed back to us.
Suggest green F4, green F4.
Yeah, confirm.
So the way we operate is you've got some track data during P1, and then we wait for that data and some representative laps, and then we start our correlation work here at McLaren MTC. Once we have this correlated car, then we start changing setup parameters, even different track bumps. So we already know kind of how to tackle the limitations that they have at the track.
Daniel, suggest maybe we push into turn 1 and try and challenge the braking a bit, find out a bit more where the limit is turn 1.
Okay, yeah, I can try.
I think the feedback is mainly on the balance of the car, what setup changes, how they affect the balance and the feeling of the car, and also where I feel they're going to improve the car, and whether I think it's a positive change or not. It's kind of using the experience from many years of racing, many years as a test driver to try and help the guys at track.
Once we have collated all this feedback, we send that to the track so they make changes to P2. And then for P2, we go through a similar kind of loop or process. But in this case, we not only focus on qualifying, but we also focus on high fuel runs and different wind conditions.
The simulator was particularly useful in Mugello actually. The circuit was very affected by the wind and the preparation we'd done. We hadn't modelled the wind in the simulator, so we were able to include the wind that we'd seen at the track and work on setups that would specifically set the car up to work in the conditions we had. And on Friday, doing that in 2 sessions was challenging.
When you come to a new circuit you've not been to, what you're trying to do is explore a wider space. But when you're coming somewhere new, there's a lot of unknown, so you kind of have to open up your setup window a bit. For a driver that's not driven there before, it's a huge advantage, and I'm sure pretty much all the drivers will try and do the same thing. It gives them an opportunity to learn the circuit, try and adapt different driving styles to different corners, and we sort of experiment with different lines, different techniques.
With Daniel being a new driver this year and very limited winter testing, he only got 3 half days in the car before we went to the first race. So we could use it to run through switch procedures on the steering wheel, get him to know all the controls, and even work through some of the radio stuff, practice the launch. There's a lot of operations for a new driver to learn in a different car, even though the cars look quite similar. Controlling a McLaren is very different to controlling a Renault.
The way we approach a new track or a standard one, they are quite similar, but on the new track then we spend more time, obviously. We have a pre-event session with the drivers. We start testing alternative setups based on our offline tools. And once we have tested these setups, it can be from stiffnesses to car balance, also track bumps, wind models and everything. Then we start understanding what's going to be the limitation at the track. So how to improve the low speed mid-corner understeer, what's the optimal rear ride height in sector 2, or so on.
You could try going 1 step rearwards on brake balance, 1 step rearwards on brake balance for turn 10. Okay.
When we arrive at a new track as a race engineer, what we want from the simulator team is to highlight what the main concerns are likely to be. Obviously we can run simulations, offline simulations about the circuit, but actually having the driver involved in that decision process and that data analysis helps us just build up the picture.
It's understanding the nature of the track, the type of corners, the areas that make the most difference on lap time. Certainly the preparation in the simulator beforehand on setups allows the team to arrive hopefully more prepared and in a better place for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, well done boys, everyone back in MTC2. Everyone here on the track, awesome job.